Hi guys, I'm Ash and this is F1 Fanatics. So I have just finished watching the US Grand Prix where the one thing we have to say is Valtteri Bottas won the battle, but unfortunately he did not win the war. And with Hamilton finishing in second place, he has wrapped up his 6th World Championship and 3rd consecutive World Championship with Mercedes. So we're going to go into a bit of detail about what we saw in the race today and just give you a reaction to it before Mike and I go into detail on our race review, which will be coming out later in the week. So let's give you a rundown of the results. So we had Valtteri Bottas finishing in 1st, doing what he needed to extend the championship race to Brazil. Hamilton came 2nd, which unfortunately for Bottas means the championship is over, and it was Max Verstappen finishing on the podium with them in 3rd. Charles Leclerc finished 4th, Albon in 5th, Ricciardo finishing what would be classified as best of the rest in 6th, with Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz finishing behind him in 7th and 8th. Nico Hülkenberg was 9th and Daniel Kvyat was the last person within the points in 10th place. Outside of the points, we had Sergio Perez in 11th, Kimi Raikkonen in 12th, Lance Stroll in 13th, Antonio Giovinazzi was 14th, Romain Grosjean 15th, and 16th was George Russell, who was the last of the classified finishers. Non-classified, we had Pierre Gasly, Kevin Magnussen, Robert Kubica, and also Sebastian Vettel. So that was 1 to 16 with the 4 non-classified finishers there. But let's get into the race itself. And to start off with, everyone behaved themselves relatively going into turn 1. And the only real incident at that stage was Alexander Albon and Carlos Sainz. So Albon, unfortunately, ended up being a bit of a sandwich between it was Leclerc and Sainz. Both ended up going wide and it did affect their races. Albon obviously ended up dropping to the back of the grid and performed a very good recovery run. However, it's what's expected really within the car that he's got. He should be able to make up the places, as has been shown in previous with any of the top runners that dropped off. But at the front, we had differing strategies and we had a variety of challengers for a potential race win. Ferrari, their pace dropped off quite a lot today in terms of race performance, and neither Charles Leclerc or Sebastian Vettel got away from the grid very well. Dropped off quite quickly, really, from the front guys, and they were in a little battle of themselves. And going into turn 12, I believe it was, there did appear to be slight contact between the two, and at that stage Vettel was saying that he was checking on the radio to see if there was any damage to his car. And from the views we were seeing on the camera, the Sky was showing us, there was a definite understeer within the car and it didn't seem completely balanced. And he got overtaken after that by both Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo, gave himself a bit of time and then started to catch them, and it felt as if whatever the issue was rectified itself. But for him, going into turn 8, his suspension failed completely, and then over the crest into turn 9, it was gone. There was no recovery for him, and he was the first retiree of the race, and really it never got going for him. He never really had an opportunity to actually build in the race. So bad day at the office for Sebastian Vettel, and Ferrari in general. They didn't have any of that pace that we've been seeing from them so far since the summer break. It did just seem to drop away completely. Leclerc, in a race of his own, wasn't really challenged from behind, didn't really do much attacking going forward, and in the end pitted for a set of soft tyres to go for the fastest lap, and he did get that with a 1:36.1. So that was the takeaway for Ferrari this weekend. They qualified well, second and fourth even, but for them the takeaway was more they got a fastest lap. Red Bull, so as I said, Albon did drop to the back of the grid today. Recovery run, brilliant, did really well to come through, had a 3-stop, I think it was, in the end, and yeah, came through the pack, looked to be making up, had some actual pace in the car when he was in the clean air, but from dropping to the back, he was never going to get much higher than the 5th that was vacated by Sebastian Vettel in the race. So got back to where he was wanting, and that does still mean that he has got the record of finishing in the top 6 every race he has had at Red Bull. So he is doing what has been expected of him within the team, just needs to try and almost just refine his driving to ensure that there are a few less little mistakes within it. Today was an unlucky incident, it wasn't his fault, but if he can start to get past some of those and just gradually build that pace again, he should be challenging near the front. Max Verstappen, he was challenging for second for the majority of the race, and it did look as if we were going to have a fantastic showdown right at the end between the front 3 guys. So Verstappen was the first to pit today of the front runners in the standard pit stop window. Decided to go on to a 2-stop really early on and try to perform the undercut on Valtteri Bottas. It didn't work for him, unfortunately. Bottas had opened up enough of a gap to keep it safe, but at that stage he was on the 2-stop, and it was just seeing whether he'd be able to have the race come back to him towards the end. Valtteri Bottas was matching him on that 2-stop. The one thing that stopped Verstappen getting that second place was a Hamilton who wanted that win desperately and wanting to round off the title in style, really. Went long on his first stint, did 26 laps, I want to say, before he pitted for his only pit stop of the race. Came out behind Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas at that stage, but obviously doing the 1-stop, they did pit again. After they pitted, Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen didn't close in on Hamilton as quickly as everyone was expecting, considering they were on the fresher rubber, and that was down to the traffic side of things. There did seem to be a lot of cars just, it was almost as if they were appearing. The front guys got to a stage where they overtook a back marker, and then all of a sudden more and more were appearing, and it didn't help that it was in pit stop windows as well. So it was the fact that they got past traffic initially. Once they'd pitted, they then had to get past the traffic again, and it was the traffic that actually helped Hamilton, I would say, ensure that he was able to get second place in the race. Other than that, I do think both Bottas and Verstappen would have been able to get clear of him and finish ahead of him on that one. But Verstappen drove an okay race. It wasn't the fireworks we were expecting from him, and we didn't get to see the battle we wanted. We had a few laps at the end of the race where Verstappen was attacking Hamilton for second, but that was another one. It was a bit of a disjointed attack because there were double waved yellows in sector 2 for Kevin Magnussen, which was stopping his progress quite a bit, especially as it was at the end of a DRS zone that the flags were for the incident. So it did mean that he wasn't attacking as much as he could have. With Hamilton, his race, he did fantastically with it. Once again, showing that he can manage his tyre wear and keep that pace with it. The battles he had, defended well when he needed to, was able to attack going forward and just build on that gap. So at one point, he was putting in fastest laps on the hard tyres, and Pete Bonington, who had returned to his garage, actually had to say to him, you need to slow down, we need to manage the tyre wear. So he did have to have a lot of control from his garage, but Hamilton was that guy. On the whole, the race itself, I wouldn't say is going to be a classic. It's not one that we're going to look back on in a few years and say, oh, I want to be able to re-watch that. It was one where most of the overtakes were taking place through the DRS and in the pit stop phase more than anything. There wasn't a lot of overtakes within it. Battles throughout the grid were quite good to see the teams racing. But I don't think it was the most exciting race to watch. There was a lot of build-up like Mexico to the final few laps, and it was what's going to happen there. At least this time we did get to see the battle between Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, and then also Hamilton to Verstappen to some extent. It was one of those where, yes, we got to see those battles, but they were won, like the Bottas one on Hamilton. It was once Bottas got close enough to Hamilton, it was a matter of when he was going to overtake him because of the fresher tyres. And then, as I said, with the Verstappen overtake opportunities for Hamilton being stopped by traffic and the yellow flags. Further down, a very good race from Daniel Ricciardo, getting up to be best of the rest. Renault race pace looked very good today. It is a Sunday where they are coming into their own. Qualifying isn't always the best for them, but on a Sunday they know how to race, both him and Hulkenberg. Lando Norris, I want to put a shout out to him for his start. Fantastic, getting himself up into 5th and ahead of the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel. Did really well in the race itself, and to finish ahead of Carlos Sainz, hasn't done that too much this season. It has been one where Sainz has dominated on a Sunday. So I say dominated, it's one where Sainz has got the better of him on a Sunday. This weekend, good result for him. Kvyat finishing off the points positions, but I do believe there's the potential for a penalty for him, so it may not. I'll put that one out there. I think it was Kvyat that there was the incident with. I can't really remember. I was coming in to film just as they were going through the discussions of that at the end, so there may be some changes to the top 20 that I had. First time that Valtteri Bottas has secured 4 race wins in an F1 season. So it shows that he has put that improvement in, and it's just unfortunate for him that he has come up against a challenger as strong as Lewis Hamilton. And then for Lewis Hamilton, today was his 31st consecutive points finished. Now, that doesn't seem too big a deal, but he is 2 races behind the record, but the record is held by himself, so he's got the potential of matching his own record towards the end of this season and then looking to beat it going forward into next season. It was his 150th podium finish, which is getting him closer to Michael Schumacher's record for that. And the big one for him, finishing second today, got him his 6th Drivers' World Championship. So that is a congratulations to Lewis Hamilton. And also the fact that I believe it was Crofty that said it, that Hamilton winning his 6th world title this year means that he has got his 6th title the same age as Michael Schumacher got his, and also in the same year of his career in Formula One. So there are definite similarities between the careers of Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton. So it is one of those where if you are wanting to see those similarities a bit more, definitely have a look at the video that Mike and I did discussing the records that they both have, and and the driver rivalries video that we did for them. But is it next year? Could that be the one where Hamilton matches the 7th World Championship? We'll have to wait and see. But guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and Mike and I will see you later in the week. Bye.